Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40k universe. I am your host Gersh1 and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Happy Friday to you guys. I hope your painting goes excellently during the weekend. Today we're going back to the Space Marines. After tallying up the votes, the second place for Space Marine Legion you guys would like to hear about was the Alpha Legion. So let's get into 40 facts about the Alpha Legion. The Alpha Legion is the Chaos Space Marine Traitor Legion, about whom the least is known. The Alpha Legion was once the 20th Legion of the Astartes, created during the first founding by the Emperor of Mankind, to carry out his great crusade, to reunite all of humanity in a new golden age under his rule. Before the treachery of Horus came to being, the 20th Legion, its formation and purpose was shrouded in mystery, concealed from the rest of the Imperium. From the beginning, the 20th Legion was filled with mystery. Before the Great Crusade, the true whereabouts of the gene traits used for the 20th Legion is unknown. No record exists showing where the gene traits come from on Terra. The Alpha Legion, along with the what would then become Salamanders and Space Wolf Proto Legions, were formed and established largely in separation from the rest of the Legionist Astartes, and were generally thought to be created with a very specific purpose. What that purpose was will be shrouded in mystery. These legions were kept isolated and distant from the beginning, breeding distrust from other legions that would never disappear. Of the early decades of the 20th Legion on Terra and during the reconquest of the Sol System, almost nothing can be said with any accuracy whatsoever, and even the cluster of myths and rumors that would later grow to surround the Legion's activities is questionable. Rumor surrounded the designation of Alpha, which by some records is connected with the 20th Proto Legion from a very early period. Reports of Space Marine units answering to no known master or legion, passing through war zones on high priority missions and under the right of unsaliable clearance, was connected to this 20th Legion. It is apparent from numerous sources that during their creation, each Proto Legion, after the Dark Angels or the First Legion, was raised to active service in a staged process for testing and trials before the full active force was created through mass recruitment from amongst the Terran populations, loyal to the Emperor's cause. Each stage of creation would result in expansions of the gene seed implantation on progressively larger groups of neophytes. The last of these preliminary stages was, according to sources, the Alpha Induction. This was, in essence, believed to be the first non-experimental implementation, and its purpose was to create a proto-legion of Astartes at minimum fighting strength, to be field-tested in open battle. There is no recorded evidence that the Alpha Legion gene seed group, although having been approved by the Emperor after its limited battle tests, was ever ordered to expand to full implementation, or received any designated intake region of Terra for mass recruitment, as the rest of the legions had during the early years of the Great Crusade. This then effectively limited the 20th Legion to a body of around 1,000 to 3,000 legionnaires, and effectively sidelined them while their contemporaries underwent rapid expansion and deployment through the opening phase of the Great Crusade. The reason behind this can only be speculated. Certainly, it was not a question of gene seed adaptation. The sample records placed the gene seed implementation success rate of the 20th as being in the highest end of the recorded spectrum. Their battlefield performance was stated high, removing the other most obvious likelihood for considering the 20th Proto Legion a failure. There have been three outstanding theories that have been spoken of as to why the 20th was not apparently expanded to full Legion strength during the early Great Crusade. The first is entirely mundane, and is simply the lack of suitable manpower. The recruitment assignment of the other legions during the period now covered most of the suitable genetic and cultural candidates of both Terra and the Sol System, and some sort of disaster prevented the Legion from obtaining recruits. The second is the suspicion that some hidden problem or potential flaw have been discovered which prevented the Proto Legions expansion. Although this in many ways seems unlikely, for it is to suggest that the Emperor was either unable or unwilling to solve such a problem, and equally unwilling to ruthlessly eradicate a failed experiment as he had done before. The third theory is that the 20th was deliberately preserved separately as an isolated unit for other specific or military reason, possibly to act as a strategic gene seed reserve or indeed a control group as some have suggested. This theory also states the possibility that the 20th Proto Legion was held back to undergo some further development and conditioning unique to them that the rest of the Legionis Astartes was restricted from by design. There remains evidence that this alpha stage led to the later development and eventual creation of his personal bodyguard of transhuman protectors, the Legio Custodes. Once the Great Crusade was fully underway, and the first of the great expeditionary fleets had set out, amassed to bring unity to the galaxy, the 20th Legion disappeared from official history for many decades. There seems to be a connection between them and certain shadowed events during the Great Crusade that have never been adequately explained by the official records, even to what was known to the highest branches of the Imperium, including the throne of Terra itself. It has been suggested since the earliest days of the Great Crusade that the Imperium was under threat from enemies from within. The 20th Legion has a secret role to play to ensure the security of the Imperium. None thought that such hidden foes could strike at the heart of the Imperium until the so-called incident that reached into the Gene Seed Reserve that nearly doomed the future of the Emperor's children. This was speculated to be an attack from within. It was not long into the dark event in the 4th decade of the Great Crusade that scattered and unspecific reports of anonymous Space Marine legions actively came to light. These actions were uniformly tactical scale operations, which occurred far from the front lines of the Great Crusade, by small detached units, ranging between squads and company in size. The warriors who carried them out were without a doubt Legionis Astartes, identified by their power, abilities, and war gear, but their identity remained concealed. These mysterious legionnaires carried little or no unit markings or heraldry. In some cases, wore unrecognized markings not in the official records. In some strange instances, they operated under a false flag, wearing the colors of known legions, often amid a war zone where the impersonated legion was operating, but without the legion's knowledge, license, or command. These actions were uniformly of covert nature. Surgical strikes, assassinations, espionage, sabotage, the recovery of unknown artifacts, and the abduction of important individuals or entire groups for some unknown purpose. Such strikes, carried out both at the front lines and within the already compliant worlds of the Imperium, were deadly accurate and seldom left any witnesses alive. Why was the purpose of this Ghost Legion in its particular role ended? Had it simply been replaced by more specialized and newly founded Imperial powers, or had it become perhaps too unpredictable, uncontrollable, or even too dangerous in its current form? Had the Great Crusade needed for frontline battle legions to add to its war efforts proven too great to allow the 20th Legion to remain in the shadows? Had the long-awaited discovery of their Primarch caused the change? Regardless of the truth, the twisting coils of the Alpha Legion rose from the darkness and into the light of the Imperium. Official accounts found in both the data looms of the Logistica Corpus and the more prosaic work of the Remembrancers place the Alpha Legion's appearance as an active Legion force in its own right, to either the decade immediately preceding the commencement of the Fernatus extermination, or as appearing as an unexpected reinforcing power during the dark days of the Third Ragdom Genocide. This represents a discrepancy of some 30 years. Regardless of the truth, this makes the Alpha Legion the last of the Space Marines to be recognized as a military entity in its own right, by a considerable margin, and also the last to be officially reunited with its Primarch. The 20th Legion's chosen name, the Alpha Legion, seems an almost deliberately perverse deed in the light of its late inception, as does the name of which its primarch was generally to become known, Alpharius. Some who have studied the history of the traitor legions have chosen to see the adoption of this naming convention neither as irony nor deliberate contradiction of facts, but rather as a statement of the ambition and the intent. Alpha also means supreme, particularly in conjunction with the ancient glyphs called the Omega and the pre-Dark Age of technology sigil. This sigil, which was used particularly in the early displays of the 20th Legion's heraldry, carried other hidden meaning, not limited to themes of unity. It contains within the pre-imperial sacred geometry of the serpent of the power and knowledge coiled around the pillars of physical reality and truth. The serpent also has since been seen as a symbol of treachery, secret, strife, and lies. The ancient Terran mythical serpent of devastation that could not be slain, for when one head is cut off, two more would uncoil in its place, would provide the 20th Legion's other great icon type, and one which would become dominant by the time of the Horus Heresy, the symbol of the Hydra. And those were 40 facts about the Alpha Legion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope your painting is going awesome. Enjoy your weekend, guys. And of course, we haven't even started talking about Alpharius yet. He's going to get his own individual lore video, so please subscribe to the channel for that. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing this video. You guys are awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.